Yes.
I think you just put your phone here.
Yes. Okay. Here we go.
Let me re-go through the intro due to technical difficulties. Welcome back for another special segment on 88.7 KWDM The Point, the show where we bring the coolest guests and make them the point. My name is Ian Nelson, and today I am with Maggie Spellman, and it was with great pleasure that we bring back Brendan B. Brown, the lead singer of Wheatus, to 88.7. Thank you so much, Brendan, for being back with us.
Thanks for having me, guys. I didn't realize I was going to be a part of the point today again. This is crazy. I can't, it's nuts. Thank you.
Yes, we're so excited to have you back.
So getting into the questions, you guys are currently on your 25th anniversary tour. What does that mean to you as the founder of this band and to your whole group as a whole?
It means we never stop touring ever, really, is what it really means. I guess it's this weird special moment where, everybody just wants to hear this album. Lots of people want to hear other songs, so we do play for about 2 hours a night, and it's all request. So part of that request bucket is all of the first album songs, but then we're adding, whatever anybody else wants. So, anywhere between 18 and 25 songs get played a night, and it's pretty relentless. And we've been on the road now for 9 months. So, we're coming to the end, the last few legs of the 25th anniversary, which I have to say I'm going to miss and also be excited about moving on from. Besides, there'll be a 30th anniversary in a few more years. But the quarter century thing is crazy, and the fact that people still care about this album is crazy, and we're just really lucky. We're feeling really lucky these days.
So through these 25 years, what type of adversity have you and your band faced? How have you overcome those difficult moments?
Well, it's mostly technical and financial, presenting the show that we wanted to present, the quality for the price that we were able to afford, and as a result, we learned a lot about the technology of how to do shows. More than we ever thought we would, and that was good for us. I think in the 2000s, the late 2000s, 2009, 2010, things were really tough. You wind up learning how to fix the engine of your van and repair the trailer and all kinds of things that you never thought you'd wind up knowing how to do. So as a result, now we're every one of us is half a mechanic and 3/4 of a systems tech, as a result of doing that touring where we had to do it all ourselves. And we've always had a vibe of trying to present a production tour, which means that you're getting a sound quality and a performance that is as good as it can possibly be, right? With the tech available. So it's been evolving, and it's been getting smaller and lighter, but it's still kind of crazy to have to build your own system and know how it works and know how to fix it. There are only 2 crew members on the Wheatus thing. The rest of us do all of the work. So it's it's intense. It's a lot of work. I would say that it's not for everybody, but it's definitely for us.
I mean, yeah, that's definitely a crazy schedule considering, getting from place to place and also the shows themselves. And since our last interview, you have done multiple live performances of Teenage Dirtbag alongside Ed Sheeran all across the globe. How did the two of you meet, and how did this series of performances come to be, especially with Wheatus' touring schedule?
So we played a show together way back in, I think it was 2010 or 2011, when he was kind of coming up. And it was a college, a university show somewhere in England. And we were on the same bill, but we didn't get to see each other because of the way that we had to pull the bus and trailer out of the venue at a certain time, So then a few years later, after he totally had his bunch of singles go platinum and whatever, he reached out to us on email, and we were about to do something cool. It was 2014. And then just the day before I was set to leave for it, he's like, man, I gotta cancel. Peter Jackson just called and wants me to do the soundtrack for The Hobbit in New Zealand. And I was like, oh, what a bummer. You know, like, can't you just blow him off?
Yeah.
Ed? No, but that was super cool that he got to do that. And so we kind of postponed, and then he reached out to me last year again, and he's like, we got to get you on stage for Dirtbag, man. Like, come on, you know, come play with me somewhere. And I was having surgery, and it was like kind of maybe not going to happen because I had to have surgery. And then he was like, oh, we got this one show in Germany on July 6th. And that was like 2 days after I was cleared to play by my doctor. So it couldn't have been more perfect. And I flew over there and did it with him. And then I did it with him again for his Christmas show in New York around Christmas time. And then we, that was a whole thing, a whole other story. You could write a book about how that Christmas show happened. But after that, he invited me to do it in Perth in New Zealand, Australia, this was about a month ago now. And that was super cool. So yeah, he's just a friend. He's just a really good musician who he only cares about music and playing good music and the camaraderie of good music between people who do it. And you know, in that regard, he's kind of like a weird, like extended Wheatus family member in that way, you know. So yeah, it's a cool relationship. I like that guy.
So we talked a little bit about Ed Sheeran. Are there any other musicians or just kind of like celebrities that you have met in your 25 years being with Wheatus that have really stood out to you and have become like even just good friends through the industry?
Art Alexakis from Everclear, Vernon Reid from Living Colour. There's so many people who like we bump into. We're like, oh my God, it's good to see you again. And you kind of, musicians don't have, like, we don't send each other Christmas cards. You know what I mean? Because you're always on the road. You're always traveling. You're always meeting new people. So the energy for that is kind of like naturally a little depleted. But then you see each other and you're like, oh, we can pick up where we left off. And there's no dramas. There's no like, you know, it's like not complicated. And those are the best kind of relationships to have, where you just like James Bourne from the band Busted in the UK. That kid, he has literally showed up at my house at 2 o'clock in the morning unannounced, and I've been like, oh, hey, man, just jump in bed, you know? He's like, nah, let's write a song instead. You know, that's the kind of world that musicians live in. If they're doing it for a long time, that's the way that it goes, you know? I feel like, I don't know, I just feel like we've been lucky enough to find people who really care. Like, I saw Mark McGrath from Sugar Ray 2 nights ago, and I hadn't seen him since 2001. And when I tell you we picked up where we left off, I was with some of my college friends, and they were at the end. They were like, "I didn't know you knew him that well," and I was like, "I don't." You know, it's just like because you just have so much that you don't need to say to one another because of the stuff you're trying to do and what you're going through all the time. Everybody's kind of has the same story, so you just kind of like reading each other's minds. And music is like that. Like, you're kind of tapping into something that goes beyond conversation and friendship and into like the metabolism. Like, when you're playing music together, you're reading each other's metabolism, right? Like your heartbeat and all that. So it can be a very, very, very close relationship at a distance with many, many people who also do this. And it's like you share something you can't really articulate, which is why I'm having a hard time telling you. But yeah, that's the way it is. Like, tons and tons of people. Chris Carrabba from Dashboard Confessional is a good old friend. You know, we text each other from time to time, like little flurries of like communication that are very, very deep and meaningful, and then you don't talk to each other for 4 months. You know, it's like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's so amazing how the music industry and Wheatus in general has allowed you to connect with so many different people who have, you know, the same ideas about music and the same, like, genres and the same things that you can just connect on so many different levels. And having somebody that, like, does the same type of stuff is so cool to be able to, you know, because you have those shared experiences. It's really cool to experience that. And
Yeah.
as we move on, just a couple weeks ago, Teenage Dirtbag hit 1 billion streams on Spotify and joined the coveted Billions Club. And what does that mean to you and everybody in the band?
Oh, in some ways it's like just an abstraction. Like, what does a billion spins mean? I don't really even know what that means. But in other ways, it's like, do we really have a song that's viewed like that by people? It's hard to connect with. It's because it's so global, and what we do is very personal. When we play shows, we take requests, we talk to the audience. We're very personable that way. It's not based on some like big distant global thing. We feel very much like a local band. Sorry, there's an airplane passing over me at the moment.
No, you're
But
good.
the fact of the matter is that like it means something to people in a grander way than we have like daily access to, right? Like, how does that song reach that many people around the world? I don't even know. I really don't. Like, I can't pretend like I understand it. But what I do understand is what it means to the person in like the third row when they come up after the show and they're like, you played Teenage Dirtbag perfectly, and I'm so glad you did, because when I was, 20 years old, I proposed to my partner, and we're married now, and blah, blah, blah. And it's like this whole story, and they're there with their kids. And that is, like, that's the personal understanding I have, that sort of one-on-one connection. And then you throw it down, it's like, well, there's a billion of these, maybe. And I'm like, what does that mean? That's like the stars or something. I don't even know, like, it becomes abstract. So we're very grateful, and still like only capable really of the personal connections that we do understand. Only do what you're good at, right? So I don't really know what billions means in terms of things that we can do, but I do know what it means to connect with people one-on-one at shows, and that's what it still means to me. And that's gotten bigger and more crazy over the years and continues to, so that's great. But but it doesn't mean I understand what a billion means. I don't. I do know that I got a bunch of congratulations from other artists who I have a lot of respect for. So I feel like that was maybe cool.
Well, we would like to offer a huge congratulations, especially from a lot of us, even though the song came out quite a few years before any of us could remember. I grew up with it. My mom would play it all the time. So it's one of my favorite songs. And so congratulations to you and your entire crew. Moving on.
Thank you.
No problem.
Thank your mom for me also.
She is probably listening, so she will be smiling. Just last fall, you and your group played at Ocean's Calling in Maryland, and you were guested with Jason Briggs, who, if some of people don't know, he was the main character in your music video for Teenage Dirtbag. So we're just kind of wondering, what is your relationship like still with Jason Briggs? Do you guys keep in touch, or was that like the first time you had been in contact or seen each other since the filming and the whole music video came out?
That was the first time I saw him since we shot the video, I think. I'm pretty sure that it was the first time. Might have seen him one other time somewhere, but I don't really remember that time. But this time was really random because we're like setting up to do our like little line check, sound check, and set up our gear. And we had no idea that there was going to be that many people in front of us. I thought the rain was going to scare people away. I thought we were going to be like, a fun show, but not the like one of the bigger crowds on the bill, which turned out to not be the case. I was wrong about that. But we're kind of setting up, and I'm in the back, and like Joel and Benji are there from Good Charlotte, and I jumped up on stage with those guys a bunch, and they're super fun friends in that same kind of collective of friends I was discussing earlier. But I look back and I'm like, oh my God, they're talking to Biggs. What the hell is he doing here? So I run down and I'm like, Jason? And he's like, Brendan, oh my God. And I was like, what the hell are you doing back here, man? This is our stage. And he's like, really? You're going to play? And I was like, yeah, man, we're on in like an hour and a half. And he's like, oh my God, I'm opening up for you. And I was like, what? Like, he's like, yeah, I'm doing some kind of culinary food thing with Joel and Benji from Good Charlotte. And I was like, oh, this is just too weird. So I'm standing there and I have my knapsack on and I realize, holy shit, I have the original hat. in my knapsack right now, the bucket hat from the video. And I'm like, oh my God, Jason, hold on a second. Do you want to, like, I pulled it out. And I was like, do you want to put this on me in the middle of the show in Dirtbag? And he's like, yes. So that just kind of naturally unfolded, that moment there for him to come out and sort of knight me with the hat, and weird stuff like that happens to us all the time. It's very much unplanned. We're never like, hey, Jason, be at the stage at blah, blah. No, nobody does that. It's just like, it's more way random because we're self-contained, we only last month did we get a manager to come and help us out with stuff. Like, that's the first time we've ever done that. And it's weird that we keep having these like serendipitous moments with people, but I promise you, we don't have the capacity to plan any of it. So it was really random and wonderful.
That's super cool. You mentioned just now that even after 25 years, you finally or just now have gotten a manager. What does that kind of like? Can you talk to us a little about like that experience of how did you guys realize that you needed a manager, or just like what do they do and kind of to help your whole organization?
They make sure that I get on the phone on time with you guys, and like book flights and book the freight for our gear to travel around the world and make sure that the logistics are all kind of taken care of. And these are all things that I did myself with Matthew and Gabrielle and Joey prior to, the last month, and the reason we had to do it was because it was just becoming overwhelming. We didn't have, we were starting to make mistakes because it was getting too complicated and we couldn't keep on top of it anymore. We just realized it was too much going on. We needed another person. So that's why we did it. And I'm kind of glad that we did so far. I'll let you know how it goes, but it's been like a thing we've discussed in the past, and we'd be like, no, don't get a manager. Like, that's dumb, But now it's kind of happening. So, yeah.
Well, so we kind of talked about just your whole scheme. One of your biggest hits is Teenage Dirtbag, but here on 88.7, that's not the only thing we have. We have one of your other songs, Leroy, and just looking into the song, it depicts a pretty interesting character, to say the least, as you would describe him. So we're just wondering, is Leroy based off of a real person, and can you kind of give us a dive into like what the song kind of meant, or like just why you chose this interesting of a character?
Yeah, there's 3 inspirations for Leroy. They all came together at the same time. There's somebody who I was friendly with who was sort of a split personality, who really had his act together, but could also wind up like accidentally partying in the basement of the Christopher Street subway, like disappearing on these like benders. And then the other inspiration was this guy that our old bass player Rich used to work with, who used to have all these sort of like little quips and comments that were really kind of slick and funny, a sort of an Iceberg Slim character, if you will. And then there was also the character Bruce Leroy from The Last Dragon, from the movie The Last Dragon. Mm-hmm. That's one of my favorite movies, and sort of got me feeling at times when I was needing some extra inspiration to push through something. That was The Last Dragon was the movie that I kind of thought about, or one of the movies. So that's where the 3 sources of the Leroy character like all meshed together.
Yeah, it's so cool to have those characters in your life that make like such an impact that you're able to, write about them and just, make such cool songs about them that are so unique. And as we've been talking about your tour, you've been in this business for 25 years now, and you're still regularly, practicing your set. And after so many years, we have to ask, are all your songs memorized, or do you ever think, oh gosh, what's that one word?
Oh yeah, I miss a lyric here and there, but we rehearse somewhere around 60 or 63 songs, I think it's currently at, in order to be ready for requests. And the rehearsal process is really important to us. We spend like 8 hours a day running songs, making sure we understand how they go, getting the lyrics right, remembering how to sing them, because all songs are not sung the same way, same technique. And even if somebody calls a song from outside of that group of rehearsed tracks, I will try to do it. And sometimes I get it right without thinking about it, and sometimes it's like, wait a minute, somebody remind me what the second verse is, and then I can get it right, as soon as I'm reminded. But it's a lot of music to memorize, and I have had it all memorized over the course of the time we've been working. At some point, it was memorized, so it does come back. But yeah, it's an interesting challenge to play request sets, because you never know what's coming. And, some people really enjoy parts of the catalog that are kind of far-flung, and others, enjoy other sections of it that are not so, obscure, that are sort of more mainstream. So on the anniversary tour, it's been mostly that first record, right? So we've been kind of veering away from the obscure stuff. Although we've been responding to the most obscure stuff that we hear called that's not on it. So if you're out there trying to get an obscure one, chances are high, because if it's really off the beaten path, it makes a nice contrast to the first album, So we like doing that.
So you're talking about this 25th anniversary tour is a request set. Have all of your concerts that you've done in the last 25 years, have they always been request sets? Or do you sometimes usually have a preset list that you'll run with and perform?
No, we never have, unless we have a really tight festival where the timing is very strict, and we need to know how long our set is, we don't, that's the only time we do that. The only time we have a full set list that's really timed was like, you mentioned Ocean's Calling. We had a set list for Ocean's Calling because we had to fit into a certain time slot. But we did requests at the festival we played with Sugar Ray yesterday, or the day before, and that was sort of more loose, because Sugar Ray were cooler with like whatever happening, and it was like a mountainside and the sun was shining, and everyone was like, just go up and do your thing. So we did have a song pool for that, but we added and subtracted some as we were going. So we were kind of winging it off of a group of songs. But when we play a headline show, if aside from these anniversary tour dates where we're definitely going to play the whole first record, anything can happen. And the whole first record's only like less than an hour long, and we wind up playing for 2. So that other hour is anybody's guess. And whatever comes, we try to hit it,
I think that's really cool that your band has kind of made itself known in the public, that you're really open to anything, because it kind of just speaks to your whole group as a whole, where there are many groups that are very strict with their set list, but kind of just the way the music plays, it's like it can go in any direction, and that's kind of how you guys roll as a group, which is very inspiring. Something else that you talked about earlier was how you have 8-hour rehearsal processes almost every day, and then your concerts are about 2 hours. And especially for you, Brendan, how a lot of your songs go very high. I grew up in a music background, so could you kind of talk to me a little bit about how you keep your voice healthy 100% of the time? I know it's always difficult with sickness as a singer myself, but can you kind of just speak to how, especially with those high notes that you have to hit every day, how you can keep your voice healthy and make it sound as good as you can every single night?
Right. So no alcohol, no smoking anything, tons and tons of water, a good vitamin regimen, stay away from fried foods as best you can. And then I also don't eat before bed, and I don't eat I stop eating like 3 or 4 hours before the show. And that typically is good. That and warm-ups, like lots and lots of warm-ups. That said, I can go in the 8-hour rehearsals. Once I get warmed up into it, I can keep going for a long time. I can keep going for a long time. I don't know what it is. My girlfriend Gabrielle is like a really good professional singer, much better than I. And she's kind of like, I don't understand how you can do that. You're not supposed to be able to do that. And I've had my throat looked at, and I don't have any nodules or anything, no ruptures on my vocal cords. So I just kind of like keep moving around the way that the technique is, so I don't like have any repetitive stress on one certain part of the technique. I think that's kind of it. And I think I've kind of always naturally done that, like move around how you sing stuff, you know?
Yeah.
And that's it. That's the only way. I mean, just don't abuse yourself, you know? And of course, being sick is the worst, because that's when you have a throat infection. It's literally in your vocal cords. There are times I've had to cancel shows. Like a handful of shows over the last few, 10 or 15 years have been canceled because like the throat infection is literally in my vocal cords and there's nothing coming out of them. Like they won't work. And if I try, I'm definitely going to hurt myself because they're already so inflamed, So that's the one no where you're like, nope, it's not happening today. Doesn't matter how much water I drink or tea or whatever, none of it's going to fix it. So that's a very rare occurrence. But yeah, that you can keep away from that. You can pretty much be healthy if you just warm up and don't drink and alcohol or smoke anything, or just watch what you eat and when you eat it.
You mentioned another part along with watching and being conscious. You mentioned your warm-ups. Is there a specific warm-up that you make sure to do every single day right before you rehearse or right before you perform that just kind of is your favorite because you just like doing it?
Yeah, I do several warm-ups that Gabrielle has on her phone. She's my partner and backing vocalist, and she has a bunch that we do together. We kind of rotate, but we've been sort of fixated on this one called Female Basic 7. I don't know how else to say what it is. It's just the sort of like na 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 na, like those ones, like sort of operatic maneuvers, like over and over again. It's about 15-20 minutes long. And if I'm sick and if the infection is not in my vocal cords, I warm up much quieter and for a much longer period of time, like really slowly and really quietly. And I sing a little quieter when I'm sick as well, just to keep it from becoming a problem. So that's how that goes.
Yeah, I mean, you are singing constantly, so you got to make sure you probably have a favorite warm-up there. And when you aren't singing your own songs, are there any bands, artists, or just like particular songs that you either listen to often or have just been your favorite for a long time here?
Funny you mentioned. So we finally started recording a covers record. We're making 3 albums this year. One is an album of covers with the full band that we just started. One of our drummers, Dustin, is back home in the studio while we're on this tour, laying down the drum tracks. And then we have many drummers, by the way. And then the second record that we're making is an acoustic record. But the covers record is the one that is being worked on first. It's a group of songs that we've covered over the years and songs that we would really have loved to have covered. But if you go to our YouTube covers series from the pandemic, almost all the songs have videos for them. So we cover like Fleetwood Mac, The Cure, The Darkness, Wilson Phillips, Mika, Scissor Sisters, Belinda Carlisle, Rush, so many bands. You just check them out on our YouTube. But we're going to make official recordings of all of those. So Cheap Trick and oh my God, there's so many. AC/DC. Yeah, so we're finally doing that officially on the recordings. As far as songs I wish I wrote, that's an like that is one of those things. So Bon Iver's Holocene is one of them. That's one of those tunes I listen to and I'm like, oh my God, this is perfect. Like, how did he do this? It's crazy good. Very jealous. Purple Rain, of course, duh. Yeah, there's so many. There's so many. Dilate by Ani DeFranco. Indigo Girls. Love Will Come to You. That's another one. Willie Nelson, I'd Have to Be Crazy to Fall in Love with You. That's one. Yeah, it's like I could go on and on about that. Fugazi, Blueprint, lots of Fugazi songs.
I mean,
There's too many to list. Oh, we recently covered a Fishbone song that is coming out on their 40th anniversary of their In Your Face record. That's, if you look on TikTok, that's happening right now. They're releasing that right now. So,
I mean,
yeah.
I know it's your career, but I just have to applaud you for knowing so many songs. You just kept naming them. And I was like, wow, some of these I'd never heard of. So for you just to be able to name so many of them, it's really something special, because even I couldn't just start naming off songs like that. One of our more final questions is, we kind of talked about how to keep the voice healthy, but you've been in this business for 25 years. Even though they always say you learn something new every day, you keep learning and doing all that. What would you say to the young musicians and bands trying to either just get more exposure for themselves in their band, or just try to make it big in the music world, something that we mentioned your billion spins, what you and your band have now accomplished? What advice would you give?
There seems to be a little bit of pressure on young artists to make more content, and I think that's a huge mistake. Don't make more, make better content. If you need to step away from your phone for a few days to finish a song properly because you're not happy with it, or you feel like you can do a better job, then spend as many days as you need to get that done, because the really good effort is going to go a much longer way and last longer and reach more people than the sort of mediocre effort that needs to come out tomorrow because your manager is like, you need to keep in people's faces, blah, blah, blah. You know, I think that TikTok is a wonderful thing for discovering new music, but I've seen artists burn out on there from them thinking that they need to make new content every day, and they don't. That's not a thing. You know, you can chill, you can take time off. Like I said, a great song is going to do more work for much longer than a good song. So make a great song, not a good song for tomorrow, you know?
Well, one of your great songs is Teenage Dirtbag Baby, and at risk of sounding like a burden, we know you did it last year, but is there any way you could sing a little bit of the high part of that song, as it's kind of something that you are known for? Is the voice warmed up enough to kind of give us a little sneak peek?
I'll do a high harmony. I don't know. I don't have perfect pitch, so I might get the key wrong.
Oh, you're good.
Yeah. Got 2 tickets to Iron Maiden, baby. Come with me Friday, don't say maybe. I'm just a teenage dirtbag, baby, like you.
Wow.
Ooh.
Oh my gosh.
That is amazing.
Thank you so much, Brendan. That was far more than we asked, and we thank you and applaud you. It sounded amazing, and just you could hear the joy and love that you have for this industry and for your music throughout this interview. And we thank you so much for your time. For our listeners, make sure to catch Wheatus this Friday, March 13th, at Woolies in downtown Des Moines. Visit First Fleet's concert to get those tickets. And one of us, I think it's me, will be there taking photos. And we just thank you so much, Brendan, for taking time out of, we know your very busy schedule, to just come on to 88.7 and come to our interview and answer some questions. So thank you so much, and have a great rest of your day from me and Maggie. Thank you.
No problem. Thanks for getting me on there. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me over and to talk and stuff. I appreciate it. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Brendan.
Bye-bye.
We're going to get back into some music here, so make sure to stay tuned to 88.7 KWDM, The Point, for more music, and follow our Instagram at KWDM 88.7 FM for updates.